Hello, this is going to be kind of just a demonstration of the steps for a gymnast dry roll setup for barrier skip. I realized that on ZSR, although we have documentation-wise, this is initial video on it, and it still does like the manual lineup because it was still like made during like the very early infancy stages of bomb push barrier skip. So I don't think that was like even known yet. But I still think that that method leading up to it, like the first part of it, is still very beginner friendly and very helpful just understanding getting into the trick. But again, this is just going to be like a run through the steps and more of a visual aid also. I'm not going to go like super in depth for that. I'd recommend still watching his video. It goes super in depth if you want to like know the intricacies again, and if anything doesn't seem or make sense here, that should definitely help you. I'm just, more importantly, this is just to show the angle part, but I want to show it all together rather than just make a video of the angle by itself. Okay, so first and foremost, I'll link the steps like in the description or something of what you do, but first get damage cancel, which is just pulling Windmaker in the last frame of the damage and vulnerability. Okay. Target snap to the wall, real quick. It can be either this side or that side, just to make sure that you snap to the wall. You go this way, if Tetra is too close to the wall, you might target her. Maybe this is easier. If it doesn't snap this way, it's because you're too close to the barrier. Like, if I'm too close to it, I won't snap if I go to that side. So like that, no snap. Once you snap, up left into the corner. It doesn't have to be that long, it could be way shorter. Just make sure you do it, at least somewhat. Safe stay real quick. Okay, now you want to hold target, pause, let go of target, hold up on the analog stick, and right on the C stick, and buffer this set of inputs for only 3 frames. I think that was 3 frames. It can be, it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you just get there. It can be consecutive 1 framers, it can be a 1 followed by a 2, it can be a 2 followed by a 1, it can be exactly a 3 like I just did. I'd recommend doing some of the earlier ones so you can easily know. The only reason I know is because I've done this a lot, so I'm pretty sure that's 3 frames. But obviously, as a beginner, it's definitely better if you take it slower through this step. Once you do that, light press L, C up, pause, buffer a full left, and then go towards this way until we go to a very specific frame that I'll pause to. This frame right here. So I don't know if you could see, but for a split second you could see kind of a dark sliver of a texture right here. And that's what you want to, once you see that, the frame that you see that, you stop, you pause, you let go of everything, you let the camera settle, and this is the frame that you want to be in. Okay, make a save state real quick. The cool thing about this is that if you overshoot it, you can just come back. Just make sure that you pause, you buffer a full other direction, and you go back. And you can do this as many times as you like, as long as you get to that frame. And if you know what the frame looks like, you can come from the other side as well. But obviously, it's really easy to tell coming from this side because you see that texture, like that texture right there on the left again. And so you could just either come from this other side or come all the way back and then bring it back around. See the easy visual cue. Just make sure you get here. And little thing about this game, there's a visual delay, which is why even if you let go, it still moves after a frame after, and that's why if you buffer a frame, it doesn't move until you unpause again because there's a visual delay. This is the frame you want. So now what you want to do is hold L, side hop left, and get towards the middle. It doesn't have to be exact. It'll just affect how many dry rolls you need coming up. Just do somewhere in the middle. About here. I like to do is get close and then hold up for a little bit, let Link settle in, and then start rolling. Now we're going to do 15 to 20 dry rolls. I'm going to do that real quick and I'll talk more about it after. I'm going to do 18. I did 19, I think. Okay, pull Windmaker, let go of target, swing the leaf, C up. I'll make a save state now. I'm going to talk about dry rolls real quick. You might not know what dry rolls are. Okay. So you want to make sure all those... Okay, so 15 is like the minimum approximately for you to settle in, but it depends on exactly where you start. So 15 is probably fine, but if you want to be safer, that's when you lean more to the 20. I like to do 18 just to be safe, but again, all those extra ones are just for safety. You don't have to do them, but you have to make sure that they are dry rolls. And dry roll is this. From a standstill, you have a little small baby roll like this, but you can see if you move, you really have a big roll that carries all that speed and momentum. So you want to make sure that they're all dry rolls, but the thing about this is if you press A too fast, eventually they chain, and you gain speed, and they don't become dry rolls anymore. So make sure that you space out the rolls with, like, when it comes to a complete stop, then you go again. You can go really slow if you want to be careful, but you can go like this fast. Make sure the link comes to a stop first. Okay, so back to the position we're in. Okay, back to where we were. See up, and now what you want to do is pause again, and similar to what we did for the first moving of the angle, you want to buffer a full right and rotate. We see Tetra 3 times, so 1, 2, 3 Tetras. Okay, now that we're going to come in, we're going to sell into the angle, so let me make a save state real quick. We see that I'm gonna just move around real quick. You can see that after this this like arch opening, there's two windows right here. On the first frame, where as you're buffering to the right, where you see half of this first window is when you want to stop and let go of everything. So that's one frame too far. That frame. So now we let go of everything, we let the camera settle, and this is the frame that we're at, and this is correct. Again, similar to the last angle manipulation, you can overshoot as much as you like, go back and forth. As long as you settle in, you're fine. Just make sure that you always buffer and pause and switch directions before you do any like changing, because you want to make it consistent camera movement, and if you do it out of a pause, it's not consistent, because as you can see, the camera moves differently depending on how hard, like how far you hold it to the side. So by buffering a full thing, like a full input, we know that it's moving the same distance every frame, every single time. So we're back to the frame that we want. What we do is press B. We are now in this camera. Now what you want to do is buffer a bomb pool, like so. The thing about this is you want to make sure that Link doesn't move at all before the pause. So like you can see that his hand started moving. If that happens in any sort of capacity, even if you took too long, so try to time the bomb and the pause press about the same time, so that you buffer the bomb pool to only have no frames happened after. It's not exactly like no frames. I don't know how to explain it, but just make sure that you pause before the Link moves. You want to like make sure you start rotating the camera at the proper timing. So bomb and start. Okay, so there you saw Link move. That's not okay. If you ever need to redo it, all you do is light press L to get back into the freecam. See up, and you're good. You're good to go again. Okay, so now it's okay. That's also not right. So that's right. So now what you want to do is, if you do it right, when you do the first pause, so you pause, hold, buffer a C right. Now we're doing the same kind of camera manipulation with the C stick instead. So buffer a C right, and we're going to come around, and let me make a save state to show the frame we're looking at. So if you look, there's a tree right here. I'll use my mouse. The first frame we see this tree coming from the left, like on the left side of the screen, is where we want to stop. So we buffered the bomb pool, we're C righting, and we pass the tree. Don't pass the tree. So that's the first frame we can see the tree. And now the last step is buffering the bomb pool. And we want to have a frame perfect bomb pool here. We want to drop the bomb, or not a bomb pool, a bomb drop. So you want to drop the bomb on the first possible frame out of this this pause. And that was not okay. So that was late. Like so. Okay. That's what it should look like if you drop it on the right frame. And the cool thing about this setup is that, I mean, it's really easy to do the lead up to everything up to that point. So the only thing that you could really like easily mess up without really like noticing is the bomb press, and that's like the only really tricky part. If you mess up any other part, it's really easy to visually tell that like, oh, this angle doesn't look right, or oh, I obviously didn't buffer 3 frames, or oh, I did a not dry roll, so things like that. And to drop the bomb, what I like to do, I mean, I don't really recommend this, it kind of overcomplicates it, is when I'm in the pause, I unpause, press B and pause again. I'm like trying to make sure that that B can only be in that 1 frame window, my timing. That's just a habit I have out of doing PG skip, how I buffer the bombs, like the hover slashes, so that's where I get that muscle memory from, so that's just easier for me to do. But you have an extra pause at the end, so that might not be necessary. Another thing you can do is just do the same thing but don't pause after. Or, since B also unpauses, you can tap B twice in the rhythm of like an MSS repause or something. Or just any pause buffer repause. You just have to make sure you drop the bomb immediately on the first frame out of the unpause, and that can be kind of tricky. But at least with the setup, you know that that's the mistake if it doesn't work, if you do everything else properly. So yeah, that should be everything. Alright, cool. Alright. There is a second frame that works. So, thing about this is that if you pass this frame, there is another frame that works. I want to say it's this frame. Let me confirm this. Yeah, it is this frame. So that's the frame that it should be, and you can frame advance the video to see. I think it's when the first, it's like the first time that like this letter is like, this Japanese character is like, half of it's at the light post and half of it's sticking out the light post. But so if you miss that frame, you go one more rotation to that frame right there, and that frame will also work. So yeah, this is like if you were to unpause, this is what it settles to. But that doesn't really help you because you would fail already at that point. So yeah, that's the second frame that can work. And that's everything for this trick. So again, this is just a go through of the steps that combine the, have a video that combines the buffered angle setup with Gymnast startle setup. So yeah, hopefully that helps. And if there's anything that's unclear, please refer to ZSR's barrier skip page. It's on the overworld tab under Hyrule, and it goes over all the different setups that it could have, and maybe that it would answer some of your questions. In worst case, just come to the Discord, ask questions, and there are people really willing to help. Alright, peace.